Hey guys, so in this video we're going to improve our slider so it snaps to correct value and also prevent most of the input bugs. And first thing that we're going to do is go to your slider designer and let's add the little background. So search for image, add it to the main canvas panel, we'll anchor it to the whole thing. Z order will be -1. And let's make it black, and this alpha will be only like 0.3. Compile and save. Now to make it snap to the correct value instead of just being 1 most of the slider and then 2 only at the end and so on, what we can do is create new function, and this will be snap to value. And in here we can just create one input, will be our max value. It will be integer. And here I'm not going to explain all the calculations, but basically what we're doing is just calculating the length of the bar and then dividing it between the values so it snaps to the correct one, okay? And nothing in between. So I'm just going to do minus subtract 1 here, then multiply this by 100, then divide it by this value here, and we'll have to divide it again. We will need to get the slider, get value. From the value we will multiply this, but multiply this one here, and we will connect this. Then we will floor this value and connect it. Again, we can do the first one, and this one will be the second one. Now this is different type now. Convert to right click on this and do to integer, so we can connect it here as well. And then once we have this, we will divide this one by this first value here. And max value we have connected. Now we will need to do branch check, which will connect all the way in the front. We can move this down, and I will check if this value is less than 1, because if it is, then we need to set this slider value to 1, because it cannot be 0. So set value to 1 on true, and on false we will get this and we'll set value again, and this time we'll set it to this one here that we have calculated. Compile and save. Now we need to call this function, so just one more look so you can see. And then in event graph we need to do on value change. We need to call this, so snap to value, and max value will be our max value. And we can move this a little bit down, a little bit lower, and then on the slider we do have on mouse capture begin. So not only when we're changing the value in whatever way on the slider, but also when we're moving the mouse and it capturing that slider, we're also going to snap to value. Okay, and then compile and save, and that will update it. And what else? Okay, let's see if that's snapping. So get the potions, drop item, and now it snaps between 1 and 2. Okay, it doesn't go anything in between. And now let's say I want to also use the arrows to set it. but at the moment it's the other bug that I show you. If I use arrows, I can go over potion. I don't know if you can see it very well, but with enter I can drink it, and then I can still drop it. So this is a problem that we can fix, and the way we're going to do that is, first we're going to, in the options widget, we're going to set, after we create the widget, we're going to set input mode to UI only. We're going to get the player controller. For widget in focus, we're going to connect the slider. We don't need to flash input or log mode. And then we're also going to drag from here and set is focusable to true. That way the slider widget is going to be in focus. And now in the slider widget, what we can do first is, next to the functions you got override, and we can find on key down. So when we press any key, we're going to get key and check if this key first is not equal. No, we can't do not equal. So if this key equals left mouse button and not boolean, we will get a branch and check this. So if the key that we have pressed is not left mouse button, that means we're trying to press tab or anything else. So then we're going to remove from parent. So we're going to close the widget, and on false we'll just connect it to return node. Here you need to have make event reply, otherwise it won't compile. And that will close the widget when we press anything else, but we also want to maybe use our arrows. So we're going to do another branch check. And from this key, we're going to check if it equals. What is it on keyboard? Left and right, I think. Left. Okay, so let's do left first. So if the key pressed is left, then we're going to get our slider, set value. We will need to get the value first, so get value that it currently has, get value, and we'll do, since we're pressing left arrow, we'll do -1, minus decrement subtract 1, and then we'll need to clamp it. Clamp float between 1, because that's the minimum value, and max value we do have set, so between minimum and maximum, and then we'll set that value here. If it's true, we can continue, but then we want to check the right arrow as well. There is no switch, so we have to do it one by one like this. So on false, if it wasn't left, we're going to check if it was right. So right, keyboard right, which is a right arrow, and if it's true, we can copy this whole thing, set it here, but here we're going to do +1, and again clamp it between 1 and max. And then if it's false, then we check if it was left mouse. If not, then we close the widget. Compile and save. And now let's see. So if I drop item, I press arrow, it goes from 1 and 2, so I can do left and right. If I press left again, doesn't do anything, right again, doesn't do anything. If I press tab, it closes the widget. So we cannot drink these potions anymore that we have here. And does it? Okay, so this time it also doesn't close straight away, even on mouse leave. We have to actually click. So if I click on the left mouse button, it won't do anything because we do now have a background here which prevents us from clicking on these items. But if I press right mouse button, it should actually close the widget. But it only does it on keys, which is fine because we can't do anything on the right mouse button. And then 02, we press OK, we drop it, and it closes the widget. Now, the problem is I can't close my inventory, even if I select it. And that is not only because it's not in the focus, but because our UI mode is set only to the input for the widget. So what we need to do is in slider, we need to get a player reference on event graph in the beginning. Sorry, not in here, but on event construct, we need to cast a player blueprint, get player character, promote it to a variable. This will be player reference. And instead of from the option widget passing the inventory reference or interface reference and then passing it here, instead we're just going to get a player reference because there we do have an interface reference. So before we remove it from the parent, we can create a little macro that will be what do we need to set input. So set input, and this will check, this will get a player reference, get interface, and set input. We can do game and UI. I think that should work. These nodes, you need to connect it like that to input and output. Play controller, we need to get play controller. And widget focus will be interface now. Actually, maybe we can still do UI. Let's see if the UI will work. Set input mode to UI only, but this time we'll set interface as a UI. Up. Now we do have this macro, so go to event graph, and everywhere we're removing it from the parent, we need to call this macro before. Copy it, paste it in here on mouse leaf, and we need to do it before we remove it from the parent, because if you do it after, it doesn't take any of these inputs, it doesn't exist anymore to execute the macros. So remove from parent, here we need to do it, remove from parent on clicked. And we need to do it where we got on key down, which is here in the input, on key down. When we remove it from the parent here, call this macro as well. Compile and save. Now let's see if that works. So I open my options widget, drop 1. I still can't close the inventory. Let's try with the focus as well. So in the macro on the slider, from the interface reference, set is focusable and set it to true. Let's see if that will help. Drop item. Let's see if I close it like this. Inventory. No, it doesn't let me input anything. So we need to change it to, my bad, I thought the input UI is going to work. We need to do set input mode game and UI. And widget in focus can be the interface. And let's leave the focus like this as well. Compile and save. Now open the widget. Okay, I can now close the inventory after the drop widget. So drop item. I'll move the mouse. It's all fine. It's snapping to the correct value. It's dropping 2 items, and then I can close the inventory because I set the focus. If we didn't set the focus, you would have to click one more time as well to actually set the focus for the interface, but it works like this. And just one more thing, let's test it out on the multiple items, just so I don't leave it with some bugs. So drop item 6, I'll drop 5, close the inventory. I dropped 5 potions around here. And we need to still a little bit fix that dropping, because sometimes it's catapulting the items still. They're fighting for a space. But yeah, this is how we create drop. I seem to have somehow with the arrow now. How did I do it? You know, if you play with it long enough, you probably find another bug and stuff like that. But if you do, just let me know and we'll fix it together. But it seems to be working all right. It's actually pretty nice. So yeah, that's a drop slider, and then we can use it for buying and selling items, as I mentioned. But we probably have to do another one. We'll just make a copy of it because we do need different references. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.